Highlights of this episode. A seemingly pitiful lady takes the stand while her lawyer tearfully builds her a fragile mental health issues persona, begging for probation. Unfortunately, the judge mercilessly flips open a rap sheet thicker than a dictionary. Since her debut in 1981, she has racked up a staggering 16 felonies, including robbery, kidnapping, and gun theft, never missing a beat. Please enjoy the Lifetime Achievement Award ceremony of this Grand Slam felon's 40-year criminal career. A 36-year-old model son of the century bursts into tears in court, spamming the sympathy card by leveraging recently deceased relatives and a mother in desperate need of his care. If we just ignore the drugs in his pocket, the mysterious gun in his center console, and his daily drug manufacturing side hustle, this would absolutely be a touching family drama. Watch how this male lead, in the face of irrefutable evidence, actually tries to haggle over his prison sentence with the judge like he's bargaining for cabbages at a wet market. The hardcore epic fail of a modern-day internet thug. He storms into a barber shop and beats an innocent bystander to the tune of $47,000 in medical bills. To save the cops the trouble of finding evidence, he thoughtfully films his own atrocity and posts it online to flex. Even better? Facing a judge who is practically blowing a blood vessel from sheer rage, this kid and his lawyer still have the audacity to ask, "Your Honor, could the whole going to jail thing wait a few days? I kind of want to attend my high school graduation first." The ultimate time management of an 18-year-old prodigy single dad. As a car thief, he found his GPS ankle monitor annoying, so he just cut it off. As a father of a 1-year-old, he made sure to smoke some weed to relax just 2 weeks before his court date. And as an ambitious youth, he doesn't even have a driver's license, yet dreams of becoming a high-paying underwater welder. Grab your popcorn and watch a sharp-tongued female judge deliver a soul-crushing, brutally honest verbal smackdown on this absolute masterpiece of a mess. Welcome back to Justice Judged. Let's enter the courtroom.
Good morning. Are you Veronica Randall?
It's Your Honor.
And Ms. Randall was previously in court in cause numbers 25 DCCR 0246 and 0247. Entered pleas of guilty to theft of property with previous convictions, a state jail felony. Also entered pleas of true to prior convictions, which enhanced this to I believe, second-degree felony for punishment purposes. The agreement was for a cap of 6 years in prison. I've received and reviewed that pre-sentence report. Have you all both had an opportunity to review that report?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Are there any additions or corrections to the report?
All good? What you read? All accurate? No, Your Honor. No additions.
Judge, I don't have any additions or corrections. I would just state if it's the appropriate time for the court. When I look at it, I have some empathy for Ms. Randall based on the comments that she made. But how much can we take her at her word with her criminal history? The court will recall you previously rejected 4 years in this case, so I'll defer to whatever you think appropriate. Yeah, Judge.
I also have taken judicial notice of the jail incident reports. You both should have copies of those. Have you both had an opportunity to review those as well?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Vasquez, you may proceed with argument.
Your Honor, I know Ms. Randall's had probation a couple of times in the past, and it didn't work out for her. But I'm arguing for anything that does not involve incarceration. Ask the court to just grant her probation with every condition, and if the court thinks best would help her to quit offending. And in lieu of that, in the alternative, Your Honor, I'd ask for something less than the 6 years if she's willing to.
Anything else, Ms. Malfini?
Judge, I don't have any additional comments. I would just state that our agreement initially was to dismiss the new case because she already has the sequence felony priors that would enhance anything further. But if the court disagrees with that, we can visit about it after the sentence.
So, Ms. Randall, I made some notations on this pre-sentence report, some issues and maybe some mental health issues that have contributed some issues in the past. However, there's nothing in here that makes me believe that any condition you may have is what requires or makes you go out and do what you've done. Literally since 1981. Your first theft that I have here was from an arrest from 1981. Then I have one after another misdemeanor thefts through 2018. Then we've got, starting in 1986, a robbery and a theft. And then we've got 13 felonies since then. These are your 14th, 15th, and I guess 16th felonies. At some point, you got to figure it out. There's opportunities when you are not incarcerated and not on probation to get the help that you need if that's what you think is the problem. I think the problem is you just like to go steal or rob, because I mean, we've got robbery, aggravated robbery, another robbery. Anyway, so at this time, in each of your cases, I'm going to find that you entered your pleas of guilty freely and voluntarily. Find that you also entered your pleas of true to those prior convictions freely and voluntarily. In cause number 25, DCCR 0246, find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of theft of property with previous convictions. Find the other previous convictions true, sentence you to a term of 6 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. In cause number 25, DCCR 0247, I'm also going to find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, find those prior convictions true, sentence you to a term of 6 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. In cause number 26, DCCR 0312, find sufficient evidence to find you guilty and find all those counts true. And in that case, sentence you in accordance with your agreement to a term of 20 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. In cause number 26, DCCR 0313, find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, find those prior counts true, and at this time find you guilty of unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon, sentence you in accordance with your agreement to a term of 35 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. In cause number 26, DCCR 0314, find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of abandoning or endangering a child, find those prior convictions true, sentence you in accordance with your agreement to a term of 35 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. In cause number 26, DCCR 0315, find sufficient evidence to find you guilty and find all the prior convictions that you pled true to true. And at this time, find you guilty of theft of a firearm, find those convictions true, sentence you in accordance with your agreement to a term of 20 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will also receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. And then in cause number 26, DCCR 0316, find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of aggravated kidnapping, find those prior convictions true, sentence you in accordance with your agreement to a term of 35 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. All of these cases will run concurrently, which means together at the same time. It shows that these were agreements that I followed, and so you've waived your right to appeal. I also handed you a written admonishment regarding your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. Because of the judgments entered against you, you're ineligible under Texas law to possess a firearm or ammunition. Possession of a firearm or ammunition could lead to charges against you. Firearm is a legal term, and you should read that written admonishment I provide you to see what devices qualify as a firearm. If you have questions about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or about how long that lasts, you can talk with Mr. Vasquez. Right, ma'am, you can go back with the bailiff.
Thank you.
Court is calling 2025 CR 012326 State versus Austin Rodriguez. Can I have parties announce? And also 2025 CR 012329. And for the defense?
Good morning, Judge Alfonso Cabañas for the defendant Austin Rodriguez.
And are you Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So did he enter a plea only on the unlawful possession?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Our cases to BTA.
Okay. So according to the plea bargaining agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 8 years in the prison. There's a $2,000 fine. State is opposed to the application, and they will take in consideration 2025 CR 012326. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report and TAP evaluation? Any objections?
We have, Your Honor, there's no objections from defense counsel on the PSI or the TAP evaluation.
All right, state you're opposed. Any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Defense, any witnesses?
Judge, my client would like something to say to the court, but as far as any additional witnesses, none.
All right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you're going to need to keep your voice up so that the court reporter can hear and I can hear.
Okay.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record. All right, defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Rodriguez, you know why you're here this morning, correct? We're asking the court to grant your application for probation, is that right? Yes, sir. Now, the court knows and you are aware that you previously had been given deferred adjudication, correct? Yes, sir. And those two deferreds had been revoked. Yes, sir. Please tell the court, Mr. Rodriguez, why this time your application and your desire to be in probation is different.
A long time ago. I didn't understand two things that I do now, and that's that time is short. Two of the most important people in my life passed away. One very recently. Any audience right now is my mother and my sister. My mom doesn't depend on me so much, but she really needs my help. I had a lot of momentum going before I came here. I don't want to lose that momentum. I'm willing to take any number of years of probation, keep me out there, on the for so I can keep the momentum that I have going. Because I'm 36 years old, I'm not getting any younger. The people that truly care about me are starting to fall off. And I know that I messed up twice some years ago. But it's like every year it's a little faster, and I don't have too much time to live with them. I'd like to do it out there.
Mr. Rodriguez, in reviewing the PSI, you are aware that should the court grant your application for probation, probation has recommended you do several outpatient treatment programs. Right, and it's my understanding that you've agreed to do those programs?
Absolutely.
Okay. You also asked the court that you'd be open to living on probation, a lengthy probation. You are aware that the maximum term that the judge could impose for probation is 10 years.
Sure.
Okay. And finally, also to make you aware that if court were to grant your application, any violation, however slight, would, make you place you under arrest and then bring you here for
Absolutely.
okay. You could be sentenced to prison. Okay. Now, as far as helping your mother and your sister who are here, tell the court a little bit more about why they need your help specifically.
So one of the people that passed away recently was my mom's son. She stayed at home with my sister. She's autistic and epileptic. She has an mentality to make me a 5-year-old. She's there by herself sometimes. When I was there, it was a lot different. Actually, right before I came here, it was New Year's Eve. Somebody set a firework off in the backyard, off the yard on it. And when I went downstairs to get some water, since we're looking out the window and all the smoke, just oblivious to what was really going on, had I not been there, would have been through the fire. Stuff like that scares me every day. Just a lot on my mother. She does a lot. Yeah, it's very, I'm sure my time also.
That is your mom's residence where you would reside should the court back your application?
Probably not, but I will be there, frequently to check up on them, make sure everything is okay. I think my sister will be there, but, I wouldn't be for maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, but you already have a place to stay?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to your mom and your sister, is there anybody else who depends on you? Or any other family members that depend on you?
As a dependent, no, but, as family, sure.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, state.
Yes, I have very brief. My name is Veronica, my name is Lorna Espinoza, I'm a prosecutor for the state. You stated you probably would not reside with your mother. Will you be living alone?
No,
No, who will you be living with?
my girlfriend.
Are there children in that home?
No.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
Yes, sir.
What are you doing?
I operate machinery for the charity owns and operates the tractor,
How long have you been doing that?
since 2018, so
And you're aware that you're here because of choices you made. Given that we're here, you chose to operate that motor vehicle on the office state highway.
in my life, yes.
Yeah, so you know that's a violation of the law, and you made that choice, right? And when you were frisked by the officers, they felt a lump in your pocket, correct? And it turned out to be suspected drugs, right? And then they located a firearm in the center console. Whose firearm is that?
I mean, it was given to me by the guy who owns the scrap yard, but I don't know who owns it.
Okay, you didn't think that was suspicious, you didn't know who the owner was, but you chose to possess the firearm, anyway?
If you neglected to tell me after pushing him to no, which I didn't, maybe, but no, I didn't.
Did you ever become aware that the firearm was stolen?
No, I didn't become aware of the firearm belonged to somebody who had gotten in trouble for a bunch of firearm. This was later on after I'd already got.
No further questions.
All right, any other questions?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, any objections to the court asking questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So when you were revoked the first time for a possession case, do you remember why you were revoked?
28, and I didn't really care what was going on. That was whenever I lost the first person that I cared about. Just negligence. I was young and dumb.
No, I mean, what allegations? Well, usually when they revoke you, they'll say, we're revoking you because you didn't report, because you're testing positive or something.
I was so lost in this Australian house.
All right. And then you had so that was a possession case, and an unauthorized use case. I'm assuming since they have the same dates that those would probably ran concurrently. All right. And then in 2021, you had the evading arrest detention with a vehicle. All right. So on that one, I'm assuming there was no probation. You were just sentenced.
That one I did because I had literally 2 weeks left to parole. I just freaked out. I go to court for it.
All right. So this is what I'm going to tell you.
Yes.
I've been a defense attorney. Sometimes I'll see things, police pulling somebody over just because they don't have a license plate or a traffic offense. Like, officers are allowed to pull people over, right? Even if they're just pulling you over because they want to see other things, right? But the issue with you is they pull you over for no license plate in the front. Then it turns out you're driving without a license. Then you have a gun in the vehicle, and then you have drugs. Those are my issues. I just don't think you're a good candidate for probation. I understand the other issues you have that you're saying that's going on in your life, but I just don't think you would be a good candidate. So I'm going to find you guilty. What I can tell you is, well, before I say this, let me hear the parties argue for amount of time?
8. Mr. Rodriguez has already done a trip for 3 years. He did 9 months in state jail in 2 years. It seems that those amounts are not enough to prevent and deter Mr. Rodriguez from continuing on his choices in this course of action. So we just have to.
All right, defense.
Your Honor, I would ask for the minimum of 2 years in TDC. It's evident from his testimony that Mr. Rodriguez has admitted guilt to this offense. He is taking responsibility. He also let the court know through answering to the state's questions that he made a poor choice that evening. He didn't minimize it or he didn't withdraw from responsibility. He did say that he made a poor choice, and obviously he's regretting it because he knows that his time with family gets shorter and shorter as the years go by. I have talked to his girlfriend. I can confirm, and also the PSI, that he does have very much family support. And so I don't think that once he gets out of prison, I don't believe that he'll fall or make poor choices anymore. I think he's obviously learned his lesson. So I'm asking the court to sentence him to 2 years in TDC.
All right, this court is going to do, the court is going to find you guilty, sentence you to a $2,000 fine, time and money run concurrent. Take in consideration 2025 CR 012326. I'll give you credit for any time served. I'll recommend the therapeutic community. I don't have jurisdiction to place you in that program, but it will show on the judgment that I'm requesting that you be placed in the therapeutic community. You'll have to request it as well. There's to be no residing in households with minors, and the court will sentence you to 4 years in the prison. And of course, give you the credit for any time served. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what that is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, make sure you make better decisions, because if you come back, you're potentially looking at being charged as a habitual, which would mean your minimum would be 25, okay?
Can I ask one more thing?
Sure.
If you were to be able to reconsider my probation, and I said that I would willing to take the max if I messed up even more, it's to reconsider.
No, and I will tell you, I won't be the judge who would be deciding that if you were to mess up. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, counsel.
And then you're on a video saying this is the type of shit we do, roll up on niggas at the goddamn barber shop. You're kidding me. Are you in a gang or something? Is that what you did?
No, sir. So that's much fun.
So why did this occur? I'm talking to you.
It was an incident.
Huh?
It was an incident.
I can't hear
It
you.
was an incident.
What'd you say?
It was an incident. Accident.
It was an incident.
Yes.
Is that your answer to that question? In this town, this is what you're doing? He's just waiting to get a haircut, and you walk in, punch him, and say,
The co-defendant punched him, and he was, my client was able to take it. Well, that's how it's not, now this way.
okay, so this is under the law parties that he's here?
Yes.
Okay, so you're working with him. This is on a video. You just walk in,
Yeah.
a person just sitting there waiting to get a haircut, and he gets pummeled. And then you're on a video saying this is the type of shit we do, roll up on niggas at the goddamn barber shop in this city? Are you kidding me? In this city? People, I mean, what kind of irresponsible behavior is that? And then the vulgarity. Do you find that odd, what you did?
Yes, sir.
We don't put up with this in this town. First of all, you start using the English language, not trash talk. That didn't get anybody anywhere. The guy prosecuted the James Byrd murders. I don't put up with this. This is just vulgarity and it's bigotry. And it's not sophisticated thinking. You understand?
Yes, sir.
What did we do with the other guy that was being being prosecuted?
I have to look and see.
I think it's still,
the case.
I think it's still pending.
Don't know if it's even assigned to me, but I have to look.
Does, aggravated assaults in broad daylight in a business where people are just trying to take care of their needs, and then y'all just walk up. That's your plan? You walk in and just start beating people senseless and then bragging about it?
Co-defendant is set for his initial setting on the 17th of April.
Here?
Yes, sir.
That should be interesting. You better fix this. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Don't do anything like this again. Act responsibly. But follow this agreement, you have no right of appeal of your case. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
This is what this city stands for. In this county. We're better than this.
See this one.
How do you plead in this? Guilty or not guilty? Talking to you.
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty voluntarily and because you are guilty of what this alleges?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you understand? I'm sure Mr. Dooser is a very smart man. Talk to you about, you don't have to do the punching. You can be part of the whole fracas. And videoing it is obvious y'all are working together. But when you know something is going to happen and you help or take part in it, you are held just as responsible as the person who's punching. You understand?
Yes.
So fix this. I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 1. Did you sign that?
Yes, sir.
Voluntarily, understand it, discuss it with your attorney, or the contents true and correct? State's Exhibit 1 is tendered into evidence without objection. It's among other things, this states you were mentally competent to enter your guilty plea, which is freely and voluntarily made. You know what you've been charged with. The indictment's been read to you, you've read it. You were guilty of the crime charged and any lesser included offenses. You were giving up your rights to a jury trial and the rights to the appearance, confrontation, and cross-examination of witnesses. You were totally satisfied with the representation provided by your lawyer. All of this is true, so help you God. States Exhibit 1 is made a part of the record for all purposes. Please answer for what?
Yes, sir.
Anything else to add?
Yeah.
If nothing further, I'm going to find you are pleading guilty voluntarily. You are mentally competent to do so. You understand and appreciate the consequences of pleading guilty. There's sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea from State's Exhibit 1 admitted here to find you guilty beyond reasonable doubt. But I'm going to defer any finding of guilt and place you on deferred or unadjudicated probation for 10 years. There will be terms and conditions of probation, which are normal and customary for this type of offense, although this is a rare type of set of circumstances. You must pay a fine of $500. Restitution will be owed. This is a total amount of restitution
That is the
in this event
Yes.
of $47,540.03. I intend for that to be shared between the two parties, but we're going to see what happens on the other case. You are responsible for the full amount as well as the other person. And what generally we do is when there's two people involved, they share the responsibility. But the law states both of you are responsible for the full amount to be paid however both of you can pay it. But the total amount is $47,540.03 from the injuries, I guess, occurred. That's a pump. That's terrible. That's why it's a serious event. Have you ever been arrested before?
This is least.
Other than this, let me tell you, this, this is just a serious, set of circumstances. This is terrible for many ways, but for your the vulgar way you spoke and the way you spoke when you were videoing this, it makes it sound like this is something you do regularly, which is not part of what the United States of America stands for. You're going to jail. I can put you in jail for 180 days, 6 months. I don't put up with this. Anybody tries to do this, they're going to be sent a message the same way. They're going to jail. This puts us back in time, and that's not where we are. We've progressed. We're better than this. Do you understand? It's a condition of your probation. You're serving 180 days in the county jail.
Your Honor, could I ask one thing concerning that? He's a high school senior graduating in May of this year.
He's being held accountable as an adult under the law, and that's the way we're going to deal with it.
If we could postpone any jail time until weekends or until he graduates, which would be May of this year.
This is the problem you have when you do something like this. It fouls up everything, including your education and your future. That's why you try not to make foolish decisions like this. And this is about as foolish as it gets. No, he's going to jail. But there's a shock probation method that the court uses as well. You know what I mean? Okay. But you do this, you go to jail. When are you supposed to be in class next? Tomorrow. You're going to report to the county jail on or before 6:05 p.m. Friday. You understand? Yes. Or else there'll be a warrant for your arrest and there'll be another charge filed to begin that 180 days. Then I'll see. I'll see what happens before Monday morning. Okay? Have you ever been in jail before?
For this, yes, sir.
For how long were you in?
1 night.
How'd that work out for you? Was that one? It's not supposed to be enjoyable. It's terrible, though. The person who was pummeled, what's his status? That person's status now?
He's recovered, for as I'm aware. He's submitted his medicals, and that's how we got them out for the restitution.
What were his injuries?
Jaw, his face. I know his jawline was broken, and
Jaw was broken.
something with his face, his mouth, facial, head injuries, and jawline.
Head injuries, jaw, facial injuries.
Mhm.
Don't ever speak like that again in public. All of this is stir up trouble. We're better than that. We're supposed to live peaceably together. People who stir up because of race or any other reasons, and this is what this sounds. This is just terrible language. That is not what makes a peaceable, happy place. And that's not what just this county is supposed to stand for, because it stands for better than that. You understand?
Yes, sir.
See the probation.
Now, this is the probation officer. They'll take you to lot of this. What was the restitution?
Harris, did you review the document entitled Court Admonishments with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand you're charged with unauthorized use of a vehicle as a state jail felony? Range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand? Did you understand if the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication, if for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty and sentence you up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes,
Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to the plea, the state is recommending deferred adjudication. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
State,
Yes, Your Honor.
defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Outside the agreement, the state is requesting that your deferred adjudication be for a term of 4 years. There be no contact with Ricardo Valera, Valera. And you are not allowed to operate a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. Did you understand those are recommendations from the state?
Yes, ma'am.
And the court does not have to follow those recommendations? Then to the offense as charged, how do you plead?
No contest.
State any evidence?
Containing Exhibit 1 and attachments, Your Honor.
No objection.
State you may be excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. Okay, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will defer finding of guilt as you've applied for deferred adjudication. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
We would like to today, Judge. if
Anything you
possible.
wish to say on behalf of your client?
Judge, just that he's a very young man. He's 18 years old right now. He does have a 1-year-old daughter. He does have a plan for what he'd like to do with the rest of his life. He explained it to me. He's actively completing his GED right now. He'd like to do underwater welding, which I thought was interesting, but apparently is a pathway to a good paying career. So he does have a plan of what he'd like to do. Obviously, this is a big wake up call to him. And I believe that if you give him the opportunity to put him on deferred adjudication, that he will hopefully complete that and put this behind him, Judge.
All right, and what is happening with the other case he has?
You're talking about which one, Judge?
The one where he was on an ankle monitor until October 9th, 2023, when it was removed?
He's on an ankle monitor currently, so I guess.
Well,
I
no, this
thought-
is from another case
Okay, is that still in Bear
with
County?
with Officer Castro. Do you remember Officer Castro?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you remove that GPS?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why would you do that?
I just wasn't thinking, and I
Like you had other things you wanted to do with your life?
didn't understand until I was 17 the consequences, like the severe consequences of my actions. I didn't know that it would.
See, I'm trying to get into the mind of young people. I don't understand why people don't understand the consequences of taking items that don't belong to you. What do you think is going to happen if you take something that doesn't belong to you?
I will go to jail.
So, I mean, I don't understand that. You're 18, and I will tell you, here in Texas, plenty of times people have taken people's vehicles while they're asleep, and they see on the camera that somebody's taking their vehicle, and they end up getting shot. And you know what people say? People start protesting, some do, and they say, oh my gosh, that was just a little child. And you know what other people say? Shouldn't have been stealing somebody else's property. And they're just like, oh, well, I can tell you this, nobody is probably going to be bringing charges saying, let's prosecute the person that shot this person for stealing their vehicle. Not going to happen. And then you're 18 and you're working on your GED.
Yes, ma'am. And I have a job right now.
Mhm.
I have a job for 4 months now.
Mhm.
Perfect attendance. And
Doing
I'm
what?
taking care of my daughter. I work at a cabinet shop.
Okay.
I make cabinets.
All right. I don't understand. Young people not graduated from school. They're just out having children. So does your child live with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And who else lives in the home with you?
I live with my girlfriend and my girlfriend's dad and my daughter.
Your girlfriend's father and who else?
My daughter.
And your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And see, young people have children and then their parents just allow them, everybody come in and move in. And then people think that's normal to have children when you're not prepared to provide shelter for that child or clothing. Somebody else is going to be doing that. All right. Do you have your driver's license?
No, ma'am.
Then you cannot drive.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do you get to work?
I Uber at the moment.
All right. What's wrong with Via? Does Uber cost? I think Uber probably costs more than the Via bus.
Yeah, around where I live in Selma, there's no Via bus station. It's like no bus stops or nothing.
Come on, America. Can we get some great transportation? You know, I travel all over to different countries. Their
Mhm.
transportation is top notch. You can get on it and go wherever.
Yeah.
That's something you should be writing your city council, writing your legislature about, saying why. You know, people say Texas is the best state in the world and the best state in the country, and the United States is the best country in the world. Can we get our transportation in order?
Like, and even if you could take via bus, it usually takes so much longer than just a car ride, so.
Well, you know what I would tell everybody? I used to take the Via bus,
Early.
and yes, I did. So I would end up at the courthouse, and you know what time I would end up getting at the courthouse? 7 a.m. And I did it because I needed to work to feed myself. I didn't want to pick up the phone calling, Mom, can you pay for my groceries this week? Although she did. I will tell you, everybody has to start somewhere, and I believe in that. All right, there's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular random UAs, probation, see if you can allow him to see if you can allow him to report by Zoom, since he has the child that's a newborn and he's working and he's trying to get his welder's license. There's to be regular random UAs. If you're drug tested today, what are the results going to be?
I'm going to test positive for marijuana.
When's the last time you used?
About 2 weeks ago, Your Honor.
Why you use it and you know you have to come to court? See, these are things that you're not thinking about as an adult. And you know what else? Your child does not want to smell marijuana on you. And then you have your your girlfriend's or fiance's father allowing you to live in their house and you're not doing right. So we're going to do regular UAs, tests for levels. Those levels had better start going down, and no marijuana use. You're not allowed to use marijuana while you're on probation.
Yes, Your
It's
Honor.
against the rules of probation. You're not allowed to drink alcohol while you're on probation. It's against the rules of probation. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
So regular UAs, tests for levels, field visits 1 time per month until a negative UA. There's to be no driving without valid license. There's going to be 200 hours of community service restitution. 50 of, I'm going to order that you get your GED.
Yes,
50 of those hours will be deemed satisfied once you obtain your GED.
Yes.
The other 150 hours, you can do those hours, or either you can better yourself. If you obtain your welder's license, then I will deem the 150 hours satisfied.
Yes, Your Honor.
And there's to be no contact with Ricardo Valera, proof of employment within 30 days, no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. And I'm going to order parenting classes. Probation, anything else?
Judge, would you please repeat the 200 hours of community service, waive 50 upon completion of the GED, and then waive 150?
Yes, if he obtains his welder's license.
Thank you, Judge. Nothing else.
All right, is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
No, Your Honor.
Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. Probation, very important. There are consequences. If you don't report, if you don't follow it through on your conditions, they're going to end up submitting to me a request that your probation be revoked. If it's in order, I'm going to sign it. And then the police are going to come and pick you up wherever you may be, because there's going to be a warrant for your arrest. Then you're going to be taken to the jail. Either you're going to make bond or not. If you don't make bond, you're going to be like them. You're going to come over in orange, and then I'll make a decision on whether or not you should be revoked or not. From here on out, everything that you do, you need to ask yourself these questions. What I'm doing, is this something that could result in me being revoked and potentially going to the state jail facility for 2 years? If the answer is no, don't do it.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
the answer is maybe, don't do it. Because I will tell you, state jail facility, unless it's overcrowded, if you get 2 years, you do 2 years. And that will be 2 years where your child, when you come out, your child will not recognize you, and somebody else may be raising your child. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you need anything, let probation know. If you feel as they're not addressing it, you can always come back to the court. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so is he on GPS now?
He is, Judge.
What do you all want to do with that? You all still want him on GPS?
Well, no, Judge, it was not part of the plea bargain agreement. I would humbly request that it be taken off, and as long as he's complying with all conditions of his probation, that it remain off.
State, what are your thoughts on GPS removal?
Had any violation reports lately?
I haven't seen any. Have there been any violation reports?
Judge, that wouldn't be through probation.
Could you all check to see?
I'll
if
check
there-
right out, Judge.
Have there been any violation reports on you?
No, ma'am.
All right, if there have not been any violation reports, then,
I'm with the GPS on it.
okay. We will see what it says.
You have the excuse from the bench?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, Judge, I don't have any violation reports from pretrial.
All right, the court will order a removal of GPS. Is there anything else you need?
No.
All right, thank you. Are you Mr. Harris?
Sure.
Oh, I'm a ma'am. Or did you say yes, sir?
You said, yes, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that part. That's okay. All right. Are you all ready to proceed on this motion to revoke?
No, Judge.
All right, why is this being withdrawn?
Because the only violation allegations are new number ones that the state would prefer to have indicted and pursue in that matter.
All right. All right, any objections to the court reading the court summary?
No. There's not much in there, Judge. He's on probation for 4 days.
Your Honor.
All right, do you live with your parents?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'm gonna alter and amend his conditions based upon my review of the court summary. Because it appears that probation has issues with you, you're contacting them, and sometimes you're answering your cell phone, sometimes you're not, then you're in the hospital shot and other things are going on. So I think your ability to move around freely needs to be curtailed a little bit. So are you employed?
Yes, Your Honor.
What do you do?
Work at a wood shop.
At a wood shop?
Yeah, making cabinets.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to alter and amend conditions to include partial GPS for employment only.
Court
Now
waive fees.
ask that the fees be waived.
Thank you.
All right. Is
For
there
how
any-
long, Judge?
until further notice? All right. Is there anything else?